Yo, 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 so many shelves, so many games, but many of them have never been played. But now I'm gonna pick up the slack, dog, by playing through my backlog. Oh yeah. Welcome to the Backlog, where I force myself to extensively play a game in my collection that I hardly ever or never played before. I then summarize that experience in this video essay. This time it's City Crisis, a PS2 exclusive. Within the first few minutes of playing it, I thought, wow, this feels like a Dreamcast game. It's very arcadey in its presentation, and it's a job simulator, much like Crazy Taxi and 18-Wheeler on the Dreamcast. So what you do in this game is operate an emergency helicopter within a large metropolis. Most of the time you're going around putting out fires and rescuing people from the buildings that are on fire. And if your helicopter gets too full of people, you have to drop some of them off on a helipad.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
There's also car chases where you need to keep a searchlight on a vehicle until the cops can capture it.
Good job. Mission cleared.
You have different helicopters to choose from, and each one can spray water like the front of a Windex bottle, and each helicopter has a limited number of water missiles it can also shoot. There is a training mode and a time attack mode, but the meat of the game is the mission mode. If you perform well in those missions, you unlock other missions, and eventually you get to the final mission, and if you beat that, you beat the game and get the credits. And I was able to beat the game, but not without technical challenges. About 90% through, my PS2 stopped reading the disc. This slim model of the PS2 is known to have issues, and I went through a process where I tried to fix it, but eventually I just decided to drive to the game store and get a second copy, and that copy worked. What's weird is the second copy has no game name on the spine, so this may just be an odd variation. One thing that stood out when I began playing this game was how wavy the outlines of the buildings are when you're flying around. I'm not sure if you notice it in this footage, but I thought I just needed to adjust some settings on my RetroTink. However, when I look at old footage of this game on YouTube, I see the same waviness. So I concluded that the game just looks like this. Despite the waviness, it's a nicely detailed cityscape, and there's an amusement park right smack in the middle of it. There's a lot of little rides and things going on within it. There's so much going on that I can feel the game slow down when I fly over the park. I just want to point out that I do have a high tolerance for bad graphics or glitchy graphics. It hardly ever affects my opinion of a game, especially one that is 23 years old like this one. But let me just jump into my overall opinion of City Crisis. I did not get any joy from playing it. There's a few reasons for that, but the main reason is that it is a struggle to perceive depth when flying the helicopter. Success depends on me being able to line up with the flames and spray water on them, and being able to fly high enough so that I don't run into any of the buildings. Nothing is more frustrating than spraying the water for a few seconds, thinking I made progress on the fire, only to figure out that I was missing the flames because I was just a little too high up. It's also frustrating to unexpectedly crash into a building because I thought I was flying over it. Now, I could just go all the way up high, but you can't stay up high forever. There's a time limit in the game, and it takes time to go back down and perform a rescue or something. I also found it difficult to line up the rope in order to rescue the tiny people. The copter does have a shadow to help out, but the controls are not precise enough. It's too easy to overshoot or undershoot the person that you're trying to rescue. It's also way too easy to bump the propeller into the side of the building. Was I able to overcome these challenges? Yes, to a certain extent. Enough to finish the game, but it just wasn't satisfying. It felt like I just bumbled my way over the finish line. And I do understand that the developers were trying to make it feel like a real helicopter, and flying real helicopters is never easy. There's momentum and stuff like that. In this case though, I wish they would have sacrificed some of the realism in order to get better gameplay. Another issue I had was the game is too short. With only 7 missions in the main mode, it feels unfinished. A couple of those missions I can beat in just a few minutes. The final mission I beat on my first try. Some of the more challenging missions did take multiple tries in order for me to get a high enough score to unlock the other missions. So at least that extended the overall playtime a little bit. One other thing to point out is how nonsensical some of the rescues are. It makes sense that a person on top of a burning building needs rescued. However, once the fire is put out, those people still incur damage, and they eventually die if you don't get them onto the helicopter. Some of those people are out in the yard surrounding the buildings, screaming at me to rescue them. And I'm just wondering, why can't they just walk to the street where the other rescuers are? There's also people far away from the fires who don't look like they're in any trouble, but they're asking for a pickup, like I'm a taxi driver or something. Those are optional, but you can get more points if you pick those people up. But veering off course to rescue them usually ends up costing you a lot of time, so it's typically not worth it. But anyway, these people's behaviors don't have a bearing on my opinion of the game. I'm just left wondering what their story is. And there you have it, folks. That's my experience playing City Crisis for the first time ever. I personally don't recommend it, but if you have played it and you have enjoyed it, more power to you. We all like different games. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.